As the Greece saga continues and America's debt ceiling debate unfolds, I'm joined by Richard Falkenhall, a senior FX strategist at SEB. Richard, can you explain to me how these events are affecting the euro-dollar?
To me, short term, I think with the new Greece package in place, markets will sort of take away a little bit of the short positioning in the euro-dollar, and that would help euro-dollar trade a little bit higher in the short term. At the same time, I think focus will sort of shift towards the U.S. Political and economical problems short term, and that should take the currency pair even a little bit higher. And therefore, we look for the euro-dollar to trade at least up to 150 here during the third quarter of this year. Going forward, I think there will be some sort of solution to the political problems within the U.S. as well, so they can't raise the debt ceiling, and there will be some sort of political solution to the long-term problems in the U.S. economy as well. So I think going forward, monetary policy will be a lot more important again to the currency pair, and with the Fed on hold for a long time, we don't think they will sort of hike rates until at least for another year. They will be on hold, and with the ECB actually being in a at least slow hiking mode, we think monetary policy divergence will cause the euro-dollar to trade up to perhaps 155 by the end of this year.
And Richard, let's now turn our attentions to the Scandinavian currencies. Firstly, what's happening with the Swedish krona, and how do you see things changing in the coming months?
For the Swedish and also for the Norwegian krona, both the Scandinavian currencies, we've been very positive for a long time. In both countries, we see very strong growth right now. It's picking up from the crisis in 2009. And also when a lot of countries within Europe, in the UK and the US, are facing severe debt problems, public debt problems, the Swedish government is actually showing a surplus in the budget already this year, and they project that will continue for a few more years. So what we look here is for a public debt to actually fall back quite rapidly in Sweden. In Norway, the situation is similar, but there is, of course, the oil revenues is one important explanation to the very stable outlook for the public budgets. Moreover, when you look into the Swedish economy, with strong growth, of course, the unemployment is falling back right now, and what we expect that to start to support the domestic growth as well. So from being led by export, we now expect more domestic demand to support growth going forward. In addition, in both countries, and especially in Sweden, we've seen central banks starting to hike rates, and already last year, and the Riksbank, the Swedish Central Bank, the Riksbank has been hiking rates for several times, and we expect them to continue to hike rates, and that will also support the currency in short. This week, we expect the Riksbank to hike the rate again, and we expect them to continue to hike rates at every meeting throughout this year. And we also expect the Norwegian Central Bank to hike rates several times throughout this year. And that should at least support the currencies in short term. However, both of these currencies are positively correlated with risk aversion. So if you see risk appetite, setback in global risk appetite, that usually hurts the currencies. That makes it more difficult to have a short-term view on these. But looking at least a year ahead, we expect the currencies to continue to appreciate versus the euro and the dollar, and we expect euro stocky to trade down towards what we think is the fair value, 850 by the end of next year. And also the Norwegian krona should continue to perform quite well based on the hikes from the central banks and the strong fundamentals, and we look for 750 by the end of 2012. So we have a fairly positive long-term view on these currencies.
Thank you for joining me, Richard. So that's what SEB are expecting. You can keep track of all the currency performances here on Dukascopy TV, and there's plenty more interviews to watch out for as well.